I saw a recent article in Forbes that just straight up said, should I buy an electric car or a hybrid now? And I'm thinking, we have always, tried to be on the forefront. We're always pushing for electric vehicles, for hybrids, for plug-in hybrids. But, there are always those people who are not cutting edge, not bleeding edge, and maybe not as up on the technology or the pros and cons and ins and outs of all the different kinds of vehicles. So I was hoping that using the Forbes article as just a stepping off point, we could get into a discussion for people who might have stumbled upon us talking about the advantages, disadvantages of the different kinds of vehicles. Now, the first thing I want to do is a very brief and quick overview of the three different types of battery vehicles. There's, we all know the internal combustion engine, we refer to ICE, ICE, and then hybrids are internal combustion engine vehicles with batteries to supplement and support the engine. They're not meant to drive very long distances in battery power. You can't directly charge the battery. The battery gets charged by the engine or by dynamic braking, regenerative braking. More often than not, the battery is primarily used for low speeds, not very, very long distances, and engine will turn off when the car comes to a complete stop and can accelerate a little bit under the battery power. A plug-in hybrid takes that concept one step further. If the battery is larger, you can plug in the car at night or anytime and fully charge the battery, which is an advantage it has over hybrids. But the plug-in allows you to plug in and always start with a full battery. Typically, a plug-in hybrid has motors that will propel the car under battery power at a higher speed. It'll differ from model to model and can go much farther than a standard hybrid because the battery is much larger. Again, that will differ from model to model. And then that brings us to a fully electric vehicle, which has no internal combustion engine whatsoever and is fully powered by the battery, which is multitudes larger than a plug-in or hybrid. And again, does the whole thing under electricity. So we all know that, but again, I want to make sure that we are introducing what we're going to be talking about to people who may be looking at this for the first time. And I'm going to throw this out. So I know that almost everyone here, there's some Tesla owners. I can see 3. I know Georgia has an electric vehicle. Russell had a Prius. And
actually going to buy another Prius.
And going to buy another Prius, and I have a plug-in Prius. So we do represent all 3 of the different, the different types of vehicles. And I think Georgia is the only person among us who went straight from internal combustion engine to electric vehicles. Is that right? Did you?
No.
Okay. At one point, I thought it came up that you didn't have a hybrid. You went on.
I would want. I still have gas. I'm one of those people who's probably going to have to wait until somebody is selling a very reasonably priced used electric vehicle. Remember, poor working class here.
Okay, well that's good. I mean, hey, I've gone from 3 hybrids to a nice motorcycle, and now I'm gonna look at buying another used Prius. So
yeah.
Before we jump into the general conversation, just a couple notes on the article specifically. One, the guy who wrote it, I think was pretty fair about the pros and cons of each category, which is a really good thing because this guy has been, if you look at some of his older articles, was really down on EVs. And so it seems like he's seen the light and said, hey, look, there really is good cases, and there are people where battery electric vehicles can meet their needs, and so that was one point. The second one was often he'll say hybrid and he was lumping hybrid and plug-in hybrid together, and as Tony mentioned, they are different. One you can plug in and one you can't, hence the name plug-in hybrid. And you get better fuel mileage with a hybrid, but with a plug-in hybrid, depending on your use case, you might be in electric mode for 99+%, depending on your use case. Again, if you want to drive cross country with it, great, you can fill up with gas. But Mark, for example, you had a Volt, and what was your electric use to gas use while you had your Volt?
It's currently still over 97% electric.
Right. So that's a huge difference between a plug-in hybrid and a hybrid, and just lumping them both under hybrid because they have that in the name, I think is a miscarriage of justice.
Right. That is an excellent point. Casey, you had mentioned you had a Volt
A pair of them, yeah.
and used how much gasoline?
I think lifetime I might have used 100 gallons between the two of them, over 100,000 miles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's 1,000 miles per gallon.
1,000 miles per gallon.
1,000 miles.
The 2012 I actually went 7 months without putting any gas in it once.
Nice.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So that's a
and
big difference.
we're recording, like Russell said, on August the 19th in 2020, and I had a long drive the day after Thanksgiving, driving back from Thanksgiving holiday, and after that I filled up my tank. So that was at the end of November, and I still have about a quarter tank of that left, and that's including me trying to burn the gas before it goes bad in my tank. So yeah, I mean, like Patrick said, so this is the point where, hybrids are a great stepping stone for people who want to reduce their gasoline consumption. They might be getting out of a car that gets 30 miles per gallon, and they might jump up to 55 or 60 miles per gallon.
Tony, excuse me.
Yeah.
I want to interject one thing, because I get where you're coming from, and ideally, everyone's driving zero emissions vehicles. Everybody on this panel probably would like, yay, zero emissions vehicles. But let's be clear: if you move from an ICE car, from a gas car, internal combustion engine vehicle, to a hybrid, it's a step up. It's great, because now you're partial zero emissions. You're burning less fuel. You're polluting less. That's a good thing. Mm-hmm. As we've often said on the show, the idea that the perfect is the enemy of the good, and we want to take positive steps wherever we can. So I don't know that it's like a step up from like gas to hybrid to plug-in hybrid to electric. Getting off the gas into any of those other options is great. The question is, what's right for you? What works? What can you afford?
Right.
Is that too strange?
No, yeah, no, of course, that's awesome. But yeah, I mean, but you're absolutely right. I mean, stepping out of something like that into anything is a step up. And then there was always, like, all of us, we talk about the gateway drug, the step, the slope, mm-hmm. and it's now that I've had this car for so long, what's next? What if I started every morning with a fully charged battery? Give me a car that allows me to do that. And yeah, there's availability, there's use case, there's cost, and there's also your ability to charge or not. In some situations, if you have an enclosed garage, pull into your garage and you can plug. If you're parking outside, if you have a shared parking lot, or if in some cases people in condominiums have to park and they're on the other side of the parking lot from where their residence is, I don't know that I trust my neighbors with a cord, plugged into my car overnight. So, I want to throw that out to you guys. What are your situations, and do you have to overcome any situations to charge?
You're right with the multifamily. So right now they're renovating the parking garage here at this apartment, and the crew uses the same extension cable that I use, and so I've been just supercharging it all. That way I don't find my rather pricey extension cable missing one morning or run over, whatever.
It becomes a question of as you had mentioned, what are you using the car for? So what kind of distances mm-hmm. are you traveling? What's your budget? Because there mm-hmm. certainly are a wide variety of pricing based on what way you're going to go. And do you have the capability of charging it if you choose a car that needs to be charged? Those three things have to be answered by any consumer that's moving from a gas vehicle up into the hybrid, plug-in, or electric. And then the other thing is if you are graduating from a gas car, the one thing that you've got to understand is that is with the use case of how you're using it is how comfortable are you with charging it? How comfortable are you going a distance and maybe charging and then continuing on a distance? Is that in the cards for you? Is that something that you're going to do or not do on a regular basis? You've got to weigh those things, and then it becomes a question of how comfortable you are performing those tasks as to what vehicle you choose. But what I will tell you is that if you only step into a hybrid or you step into a plug-in, after using that vehicle for a number of months, it'll set into you that, you know what, I can go full electric because I understand how it works. Coming from a gas car first, you may be a little bit tentative about going, to a full electric. But I would say from experience that I've had, once you understand how energy works in a hybrid and a plug-in hybrid, you can quickly figure out that, yes, I could use a full electric car going forward, because it's just something that you learn after you have the car. You understand how energy is used. You understand how much energy is used on your drive on a typical day, on a typical week. And all those things all combine into that you can move into full electric after you've had a taste of it.
Yeah, and like you said, with the shared parking situation, obviously a hybrid, you never have to worry about where to get more fuel unless the gas stations are scarce where you are. The plug-in hybrids are actually the best of both worlds if you don't have regular charging available, because say there aren't gas stations readily available, you can plug in every night. Or say you don't have access to the spot plug every night, then you can run on gasoline all the days where you don't get that prime spot. So,
yeah, we used to say that we always have Plan B traveling with us. Yes. So if you couldn't charge, that gasoline motor could turn on anytime you needed it and get you to a place where you could charge.
Oh, as I say, Dr. Fusco, friend of the show, used to always refer to plug-in hybrids as the worst of both worlds.
Yeah.
He always took the opposite approach. He's a battery half empty kind of guy. He used to say, if you're driving on electricity, you're hauling around an internal combustion engine that's not being used. And if you're running on engine, you're hauling around a battery that's not being used. So he took a worst of both worlds approach.
Okay.
I'm gonna step up and say that kind of attitude, especially because I live in a semi-rural area, and we're not going to have charging stations around for everybody who needs it. And if you head further out into farm country, it would be great to get more people out of older cars and older trucks, and for them, a hybrid is going to be critical. So, but until we have the infrastructure where even, God help us all, one of the towns where I have to drive through sometimes, and I have to be very careful so I don't run over the chickens that run loose. They're not going to have a charging station, and if somebody there wants to get rid of their old gas guzzler and poison smoke emitting vehicle and upgrade to something, I want them to have the option of a hybrid. I don't want the naysayers to make them doubt that the hybrid is a good opportunity for them. So to me, that kind of attitude, like, I love the article in the sense that it took somebody who was very skeptical, and he definitely changed his mind after using it. And we need more articles like that, because we have a lot of people for whom they at least know that when their truck breaks down, they can repair what needs to be fixed. They can get gas in their town. They don't have to figure out a way to charge it just because, and if they have to haul stuff long distances, they're not going, well, how far can I go on a charge, and is there a station, and how do I plot this out? They know that they can kick over to gas if they need to, and they can have a fuel-efficient vehicle that works well for a sustainable future, and they don't have to think about it too much. They don't have to worry about it too much. So To me, I understand what Fachi is saying, and I understand the whole question of EV versus hybrid. But for some people, I think the hybrid is just going to be more practical until we have really long distance battery vehicles that are affordable for people who are honestly living on margins.
Yeah, if you do have the the charging infrastructure, if you're in a place that you can charge, or if you have a house with an enclosed garage, attached enclosed garage where you can charge at home on a regular basis, and if you do drive more than 50, 60 miles a day, or maybe not every day, but maybe a few days, a few days a week, and if you can, then maybe you should consider an electric vehicle. It all comes down to, like we were saying, it comes down to your use case. And if you want to go full electric, but you typically drive farther than the range of a plug-in vehicle, if you do have the means to keep it topped off, then you should consider an electric vehicle. That will fit your use case.
Right. If you buy something that doesn't fit your use case, you're going to be very unhappy with it. And it's just like if you bought a sports car to move furniture, you're not going to be happy with it. Or if you bought a truck and went to the track and why am I getting lapped so much? You have to buy the right vehicle for your needs. And Georgia especially we've all kind of said this, that I think Russell's quote was, the perfect shouldn't be the enemy of the good. I've seen way too many forums where people who are EV only and everything else is crap. And that's just not the way to bring people into the tent. And that's what we want. We want better fuel economy. We want better air quality. We want less reliance on foreign crude oil. We don't want our government embroiled in the Straits of Hormuz and dealing with countries that would kill us if they could. I mean, it's just, there's so many reasons not to just to hate on good solutions because it's not pure enough for you. It's really a bad attitude.
So we wanted to take a few minutes and just talk about some of the pros and cons, and we just scratched the surface on the tip of the iceberg when it comes to all the considerations and all the technology and all the stuff, and continue doing your research. But again, buy the car that's going to meet your use case and meet your needs, and guarantee that you'll be very happy as long as you you make an intelligent and a wise decision. And hey, like Patrick said, if we're consuming less foreign oil, then hey, welcome aboard. It's a great feeling.